Suzy Wrong, Joy Drive's film, TV and theatre reviewer.
Suzy Wrong, it's good to have you back.
Always good to be with you and to be with Triana for the first time.
Absolutely.
Yes. We were going to meet a few weeks ago when I was doing the fill-in weeks, but unfortunately, just the world did not work out the way I wanted it to. But it's lovely to be speaking to you now.
Yes, perfect.
Suzy, how are you going now that you've got freedom up in Sydney?
It is so sudden that I haven't quite changed my life to meet with the changes yet. I'm still carrying on being on the inside, especially after seeing videos of people going nuts at Kmart. I just don't think it's worth taking the risk at this stage.
Kmart.
Yeah, look,
Not on my list.
I love online shopping, so Kmart is not such a big draw for me. I'm not heading out being nuts quite just yet, but the theatre life is starting to come back. I've got tickets starting from the 28th of October, so I guess I'll have another week or so of sort of being a bit quiet and then hoping that life goes back to normal.
Right, so you're going to go to the opposition Big W, are you?
Look, I think buying things online is the way to go for now. I don't think browsing the aisles is worth the risk. I am one of the more sort of terrified people about COVID, but other people who are not so scared, feel free. I have no problems with that, but I quite like to stay in for a little bit longer.
Nice. Well, if you ever do need, a pastel-coloured pillow with a zigzag pattern on it, you know the store to go to, don't you?
I think they have plenty of those things. We always want more cushions at home. Hey guys, I love the combination. I love you talking about holidays. This makes me think about what I want to do on my holidays. And I miss going to Singapore. I've been going there every year for a long time, so I miss the glitz. And I don't think I'm ready to go overseas, but I'm hoping to go to Gold Coast soon. I think Gold Coast might be a nice place, but they are obviously scared of Sydney people at the moment. You
know what? We're not scared, Suzy. You're always welcome to come down and join us on Drive in person anytime.
Oh, I can't wait. I can't wait for those borders to open and I'll be everywhere.
Fabulous. Now, today we're talking about Sort Of, which is streaming on Stan. Do you want to give us an overview of what it's about?
It's about Sabi. Sabi is a person after my own heart. They are non-binary, they are of Pakistani heritage, a person of colour, navigating life in a Western milieu, in this case, Toronto. The brand new series from Canada, entitled Sort Of, is now streaming on Stan, and it has been living rent-free in my mind since I watched all 8 episodes of it last week when it premiered. Sabi works 2 jobs, as a nanny and as a bartender. It all feels very transient, and their lack of ambition reveals a general lack of confidence in their own personhood. Sabi lives in service of others, which isn't always a bad way of being, except they seem to have problems prioritizing their own needs. Yes, Sort Of is a story about a trans person finding their own 2 feet and becoming fully the person of their own creation. But it is no boring old sob story. Yes, it made me cry and it made me laugh many, many times, but Sabi's journey feels wonderfully fresh and very much of our time. As we observe a 21st century human being figuring out their place in the world, redefining ancient meanings around gender, we see everyone else around Sabi shifting accordingly. Never is it clearer than in Sort Of that the personal is political. Creator, writer, and lead performer Bilal Baig is a marvelous presence on screen, incredibly authentic, with a great sense of drama and of comedy that earns the viewer's emotional investment in no time at all. Warren, I was wondering if cis people would be able to find some sense of affiliation with Sabi and the show?
Oh, yeah, look, I really loved it. And I was reading, actually, too, it was all filmed during COVID as well, and apparently no one got COVID during it, and they sort of accommodated all the changes of only being able to have a certain number of people there at any time. So they've done a really good job. I love Sabi. I thought Sabi was such a real character, and it was amazing to see a non-binary character, as the main character in a series. And I loved the concept of it, the fact of, they had to put others' needs before their own and what cost that was to their life. I thought that was really good. Suzy, I thought that was enough of a story in itself, was to centre around Sabi. I didn't like the fact that it kept diverting to the other family and the coma. I felt like that part of it dragged out. I would have liked to have seen more explored around Sabi, to be honest with you. You know, Sabi had to manage family expectations, family shame, the rejection of a career in a trade, being an electrician, the stigma around being non-binary, the stigma around being a nanny, the whole cultural stigma around being a servant to a white person, you know, pressure of being a good friend, competing values, and still all of this and trying to figure themselves out. And to me, I thought I would have loved to have seen that fleshed out a little bit more. I wasn't so much interested in what was going on with the family that they were a nanny to.
That might have been because the show was co-created and co-written by someone who was like the man in that family. Yeah, that father figure. I think that's why you kind of feel like that took a bit of dominance away.
Dragged. It sort of made some of the episodes were really, and then they'd spend time on this and the hospital scene, and I just thought it made the 20-minute episodes drag out. Like some of them felt a little bit longer. I was thinking, can you please get through? I just want to get back to Sabi and what's going on there.
But I did wonder if it was all too much about this non-binary brown-skinned person, if it would lose too many audiences. You know, that was my sort of way of thinking. Which is why I was wondering if you're not a queer person, maybe you do need some of that to pull you in. But I don't know.
No, I don't think so. I think there was enough story around Sabi themselves. You know, from a diversity perspective, the whole series ticked all the boxes. It was refreshing to see Sabi. You know, the family, a mixed race couple with the other family as well. I mean, diversity wise, it was really good to see. But I reckon Sabi in themselves was enough, and we could have just fleshed out so many more things.
And here's the thing, right? The thing with Sabi and the fact that they're played by someone who is also non-binary. This is one of these really rare cases where we have a non-binary character played by a non-binary person and written by a non-binary person, and not this whole what must it be like to be a non-binary person? I, as a cis person, I'm going to write this down and this must be what it feels like for them. It feels very authentic, which is not something that we get to see in a lot of media very often, Suzy.
Yeah, and I think it was able, because of that it was able to portray someone who was, not a super role model type person who's got the act together, yet they're not a tragic personality. I like that way that they were able to balance that sort of vulnerability without that becoming a tragedy story. So I give that a big tick with that. In terms of the diversity that Warren had mentioned, I do feel like that they were a little bit kind to white people, because my experience of being a person of color in white culture, it's never that peaceful. Like it is not. It's not bloody kumbaya all the time. and I think it was a little bit too kind that way. I thought they could have made a bit more drama with the white men, the two white men who pay a salary. I thought that those might be a little bit too kindly portrayed.
Yeah, one thing I was thinking. Credit to CBC though, because it is great to see stories of queer, trans, and non-binary people of colour on the main screen, and like you said, playing their authentic roles. And we've got to give credit to CBC for producing it.
Yeah, and it is so easily digestible. I mean, to us, it is, I think. But I wonder if it can reach out to lots of people. I wish lots of people would see it, because it's very sort of educational in a way that it's not preachy. It's just like a really ordinary person. And I think they kind of went out of their way to portray them as quite being an ordinary person. Like they're not a showgirl or a clairvoyant, something like that. That they were just a nanny and a bartender. And I hope it reaches a lot of people, and that it will kind of reveal to people what a new generation of trans people are like and are going to be like.
Triana and Suzy, I tell you what, I would love Sabi as a friend, because Sabi's values were just amazing. And, when the decision came to, and I don't want to spoil it, but that big decision of either making this big life choice or looking after your friend, and they chose the friend, I thought, oh, what a beautiful friend, and just copped so much crap because of it. And I thought, wow, what a beautiful person.
Yeah, that's a dramatic conflict there. Like they're being very selfless, but at the same time, watching them kind of really putting themselves behind everyone, and you're wondering, is there a middle ground? Is there a way to live a life that you can take care of other people and also make sure that you get to where you want to be? I think that's a huge question in anyone's life.
Absolutely. And maybe they were in some ways doing what they wanted to do. It's sort of, and I reckon that's the sort of thing we could have explored. Suzy, I really enjoyed it. I would encourage people to go and see it, definitely. It's called Sort of. It is on Stan. Suzy, what do you want us to do for next week for our homework?
Veneno tells the life and death of Spanish transgender singer and television personality Cristina Ortiz Rodriguez, better known by the nickname La Veneno. 8 episodes now available on ABC iView.
Oh, it's on. Oh, that's nice and accessible.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that.
So it's called Veneno.
La Veneno.
Yeah, Veneno. Veneno.
VEN.
ENO.
I'm typing on the screen in front of you, okay, Warren? It's like that.
La Veneno. I got it.
There's
VENENO.
It's like there's a Lamborghini that's also called a Veneno. It's spelled the same way.
So it's on ABC iView. It's there now. We can watch that for next week, Suzy.
Yeah, looking forward to that one.
Fantastic. We'll let you go before Kmart closes.
Thank you, and I'll see you next Tuesday. Bye.